DaVinci Resolve has had some fairly major updates recently. I swear they are updating this software faster than I can keep up. Now, some of you may have seen my video, DaVinci Resolve for Noobs, that sort of walked through how to use the software, and almost all of that is still true today. But there's been enough changes to the edit page alone that I felt we should walk through and look at some of those. So in case you've seen that video and some of the features aren't where they used to be, I can show you where they are now. And I can also show you some of the new features and changes that they've added that I think have actually made the edit page better. Let's dive in. So here's the edit page. Let's start by going up to Workspace, and I am going to reset this UI layout right back to the default layout. So if you had just opened up DaVinci Resolve for the first time and gone to the edit page, which is the third page tab at the bottom row of icons, this is what you should see, or something very similar. Now, 90% of the work I do is in the edit page. Yes, DaVinci Resolve has 7 pages. Yes, it is basically 4 major pro level softwares that have been combined into one. Yes, it can be confusing, but I feel if you have a good solid grasp of the edit page, you're most of the way there. You can build almost anything that you want for a basic type of edit that a lot of content creators like us who make content for social media are doing day after day. So let's start with some simple UI changes up in the upper left. Most of the media pool stuff is the same. You might see that the way some of the top row icons toggle is a little different. Now, just a quick refresher, our media pool tab right up here in the upper left, that's going to control where we bring in all of our video and all of our audio and sound effects and anything we might be bringing in to use in our project. The next tab over is effects. That's where we have everything from our video transitions to our audio transitions to our titles when we're going to bring text into our project so we can put text on screen, and the ability to use effects like blurring things out. All of those things tend to be found here in your toolbox, which is toggled on and off by the effects icon in the upper left. Index, sound library, keyframes, this has changed a bit. I should take a second here to remind you that there is a free audio library that DaVinci Resolve provides that you can download and install. And it's not a huge audio library, but it does have a bunch of sound effects that you can use absolutely for free in your projects. If you look in the upper right here, this is where you can find your libraries. There's either a Fairlight sound library that you can download and it'll show up here, or you can create your own local database and just find a folder on your computer, put a bunch of effects in there. I happen to have mine already filled up, so if you don't and you've never created one, if you click on local database, you'll probably see an icon in the middle here that tells you create a local database or create your own sound effects library. And if you click on that, it's basically going to ask you, what folder on your computer should I reference for this library? Create a folder, stick a bunch of sound effects in there, restart the software so it can update the database. And then when you get to here, you should have all of your sound effects available. One little trick that I get asked about a lot, like here I am in my database and I don't see any sound effects. Or here I am in the Fairlight sound library, I don't see any sound effects. One little trick that's really, really good to know. You can type in a word like maybe crash, and if there is a crash sound effect available, you'll see it. There isn't anything named crash here, so I might struggle to find the sound effect I want. What you can do as a hack is type in parentheses, asterisk, and parentheses again, and it'll pull up everything in that sound library that you can scroll through. And they sometimes have weird names like BF on chairs, like you wouldn't know that name, right? And that'll just make it easy to see all of the effects that are available in that library. Now, one of the layout features that you might have noticed has changed a bit in the newer versions. All of these upper left icons occupy the left side of your screen. Now, before we basically had the media pool in the upper left, and along the way, they did give us the option to click this shrink where you can expand it. It used to sort of sit in the upper left corner, and most of us were used to it being there. And most of us knew if we turned on the effects after that, it would apply the effects UI window below the media pool. And now it seems to replace it. And that's a slight change. If you like that ability to toggle through each one in the upper left, just leave that the way it is. But if you want to see the effects below the media pool, you just need to expand the media pool and then click on effects, and it'll stack it back underneath. One of those slight changes that can be really confusing when you first start using some of the newer UI, but it's all still there, just moved around in slightly different places. Now, the keyframe editor up here, that's a fairly major change. I don't have any timeline or keyframe created yet. I will get back to that in a minute, but that is a very new feature that will take a little getting used to. But if you do start a project by just dragging stuff down into your timeline, one of the things you might notice is that even the tracks themselves look a little different. Now there is like a V1 in blue and a V1 in red. Like, what is that? That's very different than we had before. And there doesn't seem to be an auto track selector option. And now there's a new disable sync lock feature. Very different. Let's sit here for a second so I can talk you through some of this. The tracks have been updated in what I think is a fairly smart way. They've separated how things get inserted into the timeline based on whether you're using the media pool or whether you are referencing the project timeline itself. Let me explain. Some of you know that there's a tray of icons right here that allow you to insert a clip, that allow you to overwrite a clip, or allow you to replace a clip. So let's say I had this clip here that's looking down this hallway. Let's say I wanted to replace it with this other clip. I could select that in the upper right. I could choose replace clip, and then down in my timeline, it's going to stick it right there. This new clip is a little shorter, so it left the very end of the old clip, but it replaced everything it could with the new clip, just stuck it right in its place. Didn't put it over it, it literally put it in place of it. But let's say I did something different. Let's say I had a clip here that I wanted to insert. If I clicked here, it would stick that in, let me shrink this down, before that clip. It inserted it where the playhead was and moved everything back. But how did it know which track to put it on? In this case, I only had one track, but what if I right-clicked and added more tracks? What if I had 2 more video tracks and I had 2 more audio tracks? And I wanted to insert a track onto track 2, but I wanted everything else to move after it because I'm inserting just on a different track than track 1. Well, what you can do is actually click on that box of the track that you want to select. This is video 2. It'll move that blue box up. And let's say I wanted the audio to be inserted on audio track 3. I could click down here on that open spot of audio track 3, select the clip I wanted to insert, and then I could hit insert, and you will see it does insert it. It does move everything over, but it inserts it from the media pool onto the tracks that I assigned by changing the blue icon. That's going to be your source location for dropping stuff from the media pool. Okay, but what if I did something different? What if I had copied the third clip at the end here, right click, I'm going to hit copy. And what if I wanted to paste it somewhere in this track? Now, if I just put the playhead somewhere on the timeline, right clicked and put paste, it would stick it into the track that it came from. What if I wanted that to paste into a different track at the playhead, but in track 2? What I could do is turn off the auto track selectors for the video and audio of track 1. That's A1 and V1 right here. Turn those both off. Now it's going to defer to the next available track, which is video track 2 and audio track 2. So if I right click and paste, you'll see that's what it does. Pasted them right at the playhead. And if I wanted it to go to a specific track, hit shift and click on any of the auto track selectors, and it turns off all of them for the audio. If I had all of the video track selectors turned on and hit shift and selected any one of them, it will turn them all off. Then you can go back and choose one at a time. So that's really good if you're going to paste something into a project with many tracks and you go, oh no, I wanted it to go on track 3. How do I get it to go there quickly? You could just turn them all off by hitting shift, select one of them, turn them all off, and then choose where you'd like them to go, video and audio tracks, put the playhead where you'd like to paste them, and now you'll see that they paste where I had those tracks selected. So those auto track selectors are a little bit different. Now you're watching me bring all of these video and audio clips down into my timeline, and to be honest with you, none of them are mine. I got all of them from today's sponsor, Storyblocks. Now listen, if you're a creator like me who's constantly trying to figure out where you can get high quality, royalty-free video clips, audio, music to use in your videos, maybe you're looking for images, maybe you're looking for sound effects, maybe you're looking for transitions and templates and overlays that you can use right inside of Premiere Pro or After Effects, or my favorite DaVinci Resolve. Well, Storyblocks has all of these things available to you for one predictable price that gives you access to as many assets as you need. There is no limit. But the best thing about Storyblocks is all the content is created by real artists, none of this AI generated stuff, and all of their libraries are updated consistently based on requests from creators like you and me. And for a very limited time, they'll give you an extra 3 months for free when you sign up for an annual plan today. I'll leave this link down below if you want to go check out Storyblocks for yourself today. Now the track locks haven't changed at all. Whenever you turn the track lock on, it's going to shut that track down completely. Once that's locked, I can't edit it, I can't cut it, I can't add effects to it. It is locked. It will not move. And the disable video track option is still the same. When you click that, it will turn that track off from your project. You won't see it in your preview window and it won't appear in your export. But what's different is this disable sync lock. This is a very specific use case feature that you might find straightens out certain problems you had in the previous version. Now, what happened before was sometimes you'd want to paste something in the middle of a complex project, but depending how things were locked together, the entire project might fall out of sync, especially if you were pasting something right in the middle of a complex project. So let's pretend this is a complex project. If you're wondering why you're not seeing any waveforms, these video assets have audio tracks attached that have literally no audio in them. They're just open tracks. If I grab an audio track like this, you can see there is waveform right here. If you ever do bring a piece of audio into your project and it's not displaying the waveform properly, remember that you can go up to your timeline view options and scroll down. Make sure you have display audio waveforms enabled. If you don't, it will just look plain green like that and you won't see any waveform. So make sure you have that on to see the waveform. Sometimes you also can't see them if your volume is too low, but typically if you can't see your audio waveform, it's one of those two things. The volume's too low or you've got the timeline view disabled. Now in this project, let's say that I had my playhead here and I wanted to insert on track 1 a video clip right at the playhead. I've got all these other things going on in other tracks. How does it know what to do with those tracks? Because some of the things are happening before the playhead, some of the things are happening after the playhead, and some of those clips are happening before and after that playhead. But with your sync locks enabled, meaning they're white, this is off, that's gray. And if you click it again, it says enable. Don't let that throw you off. It's on right now, but it's saying disable because that's the next option if I toggle it. So if they're all turned on, let's say I copy this asset right here, right click and copy, and I want to paste it in right here at this playhead. Watch what it does. If I right click and hit paste, it just overwrites everything, and that's hugely problematic. But let's say I right click and I choose paste insert. Watch what it does. It actually sliced all of the tracks at that point, inserted that clip, and moved everything to the right. It literally slices all of the tracks and moves them over so that everything stays in sync afterwards and you can make your adjustments. Now, if I hit Shift and selected any of these, it would turn them all off. If I turn them all off and I right click and paste insert again, all of these are now out of sync. They're in a different location. And that's a really important update because I've seen more projects get messed up by dropping something into a larger project and not realizing everything was out of sync till much later. Now, some other new things that we have here in the edit page is this microphone right here. This is the new voiceover feature that used to only exist in the Fairlight page. This is much better. This allows you to just click that button. You'll immediately see levels. You can choose the microphone that is connected to your system that you want to use as your input source. You can choose the name of the file that you're going to be recording. You can choose the track, so it shows which of these would you like to record onto. You also have some options in the upper right 3-dot ellipsis to either turn on or off the countdown. You can turn that off if you don't like it. You can also mute the timeline audio so that you don't hear other things. In this case, I have a music track right here, and if I don't want to hear that while I'm recording, I turn the mute timeline off so I won't be thrown off by anything else in the project if I don't want to hear it. And then I can hit record and I can just start talking, and you can see it's recording my voice in real time as the project is playing. That can be really useful for doing fast voiceover clips without having to record something else, bring it into the project, try to line it up. Great new feature that allows you to do this in the edit page instead of going to the Fairlight page. Click that microphone again to stop it, and you'll now have your audio track inserted on the track that you asked it to be right in time with the rest of your project. There's some smaller things that are hidden in here that you want to be aware of. Some of you know that there is an audio ducking feature. So if you did have an audio track that you were talking on, like I have here, and a music track that I also have here, and you wanted the audio to duck down or be made quiet whenever you were speaking and then turn back up when you were not speaking, Resolve has the ducker feature that I've talked about a bunch of times. And it used to be available by having the inspector open. You could just click in the gray area right up here and you can see the Ducker along with some of the AI music features that are available for studio users. But you can also click on the FX option right here for any one of those tracks, and it'll open up those options as well. So there's more than one way to get to it. Sometimes it felt a little hidden down over here, and I like that they have it here as well. Just makes our world a little simpler, not having to find hidden features. Now, the mixer has been updated several times before version 20, but just as a reminder, we do have EQ available here in the edit page by clicking on EQ of any track, and you can dial an EQ in for that particular track. We also have dynamics available by clicking on the DY option of any track, and it'll open up the expander or noise gate. We've got our compressors and our limiters here. I've talked about them a bunch. Really great for squashing the audio a bit so that the quieter parts are made louder and the louder parts are knocked down a little bit to have a more consistent audio tone. All of those are available right inside of the edit page from the mixer just by clicking on EQ, Dynamics, or FX to find these advanced features. One of the more recent features that's available after version 20 is the way that they've done the preview window. Now, right here, I happen to have a project with a 16:9 landscape view. This really hasn't changed all that much. But if you happen to open up a project, let's create a new timeline here. Let's make it not use the project settings, and we will change the format to a vertical resolution. You'll now see the entire layout has changed a bunch. The preview window is much smaller. They've moved it over. And when you bring something down into your timeline, that's kind of small. That can feel like, how am I supposed to edit to that? You can go over here just above your mixer settings and you can click expand view. It will take that preview window and make it go top to bottom. And now you can roll that out and you can get a much larger view so you can actually see this project as you're editing it. That's really helpful. You can collapse that again by clicking right here in the upper right of the timeline, whether you have the mixer enabled or not. Let me turn the mixer off. You can still see it's here. If I click, it moves the timeline all the way across. I still don't know that I love what they've done with the preview window here, but that's where it's at now, and I don't want you to feel like you've lost the ability to see your entire preview window when you're using vertical video. Okay, let's talk about the last biggest update, which really is the keyframe editor and the keyframe tray. Let's say I wanted to add some keyframes to this. I'm not going to go deep into keyframes. We've talked about them a lot, but this is a piece of a video where it's just going down a hallway with a camera. Kind of a neat look. But let's say I wanted to speed up and zoom way into that door at the end because it's kind of moving slowly. Let me put the playhead at the beginning. I'm going to go to the upper right inspector and put a keyframe right there. Then I'm going to go to about here and I'm going to zoom in on that door even more. So I'm going to go up to the upper right inspector, left click on the X and Y zoom, and I'm going to zoom in just by dragging to the right. And you can see it's added another keyframe. In the old version, the keyframes would be available by clicking on a little diamond that was in the lower right of the video track. And any of the audio keyframes I could do by just clicking on audio. Let's say at this point I want to add an audio keyframe and I want to move forward, and then I'm going to turn the volume down. You see how we see the audio keyframes in that audio track? They're still there, but the ones in the video track are not. This is a little confusing. What we're going to do is select that track and go to the upper left and click on keyframes. And this is our new keyframe editor. And as you can see, it's separated all of the potential values, much like the things we would see in the upper right inspector, and told us which of those values we have added keyframes to. And down below, you can even see that my volume keyframes are here. You can still see them here, but they're more easily and readily controlled now in your keyframe editor. But if you pop this window out, you can actually expand this keyframe editor and make it as big as you want. So you get a much larger window. You can even put this into a different monitor if you have more than one monitor connected. But a lot of people preferred the keyframes being down in the timeline area. Well, I think Resolve heard a lot of our feedback and they gave us this option here, the keyframe tray. And this is almost identical to the keyframe window. If you grab the separator, I can lift it up, but it does it all down in the timeline below our footage. So it's really easy to see, hey, this piece of footage here has a keyframe right at that point, and you can still control all of these and move them closer together, farther apart. All of that's available down below, and you can still switch over to the keyframe curves and do all of your curve motions right down here as well. Select any of those, add easing in or out. You have all of these options right in your timeline. Now, the only thing it doesn't do in the tray is pop out. It stays right below your timeline. This is kind of confusing because we have two features doing pretty much the same thing, one in the upper left, one below our timeline. I have a feeling, and I might be wrong, that we'll see one of these eliminated, and I bet you it's the keyframe editor in the upper left. If they get this lower right one to pop out, then it's pretty much doing everything that the upper left one does, and I got a feeling they could get rid of it at that point. So don't be surprised if we see that change happen. So those are most of the features that I think you should be aware of for the edit page of the newer versions of DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you have any questions about the functionality in here, feel free to hit me up in the comments below and I'll do my very best to answer all of them. But if you want to learn more about how to edit video with DaVinci Resolve, click on the video that I have on screen now or the other ones that I'll link down below. Peace.